All right, guys, I have a model right here. This is from Tito, and we're going to talk about some simple techniques using the Ipr renderer and how you can speed up part of your assignment of shaders to your object to get your toy design here to look correct. Okay, so one of the things that I was talking to Tito and he asked me, he said, "Hey, how do I speed up the render process or look at what I'm doing?" Well, when you hit your render global settings right here and it brings this up under common, if you scroll down here, we talked about this before. You have presets in here. Okay, so you have a preset here. The standard preset most machines and default in Maya is going to be 640 by 480, which is like a little square box. And sometimes I don't like to use that because I like to look more at the ratio of what my final render is going to be, especially if I'm putting my artwork inside a portfolio presentation piece. Okay, so one of the things that I want to show you is that if I click this on 720 right now, okay, so if I scroll down here, click HD 720, that's going to be a test render for me. And then you'll also notice that I have this frame around my render. Do you see that? That frame is what I'm rendering. And I'm going to show you how to bring that up. It's really easy. Okay, in your OpenGL view, which is this view that's right here that's opened up, if you click under View and you scroll down to Camera Settings and you go to Resolution Gate right there. Do you see that? So View, Camera Settings, Resolution Gate. So right now I said no gate. You can see I'm just looking at the object, and this is sort of a bad way to work because you have no idea of what you're actually rendering, what's going to be in the frame or not. So you're spending all this time to put shaders in there and other texture-based information. You're going to render it out and you have no clue what it's going to look like. Well, by coming under View right here and going to Camera Settings and Resolution Gate, I now have the option to see exactly what I'm going to see. All right, but still, when I go to render this, look at what happened. Okay, it's a pretty large size render. It's HD 720, so it takes a while. So if I want to speed up that process, what I can do is I can hit Escape. I'm going to come back here, and right underneath this it says Maintain Width and Height Ratio. Okay, make sure that's checked. So I'm going to come down here, instead of 720, I'm going to put this at 420. So I'm going to drop it down in size. I'm going to hit Enter, and the computer automatically adjusted the ratio down to 746. So now when I hit render, it's going to give me a nice render, but it's a lot smaller, which means it's going to speed up the time. And then it allows me to go in there and take a look at what my surfaces are looking like when I render. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, but now I'm sitting here and I'm sort of waiting and waiting. A real expedited, fantastic way to do this, there's another render option that's called the Ipr render. I'm going to show that to you right now. I'm going to hit Escape to get out of that render. Okay, I'm going to come over here. When you're doing this, you want to make sure you have your Hypershade open, because this is where we assign materials. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to assign a couple more materials in there. So I'm going to come down to that Maya Material X. I hope it's in the middle on yours. There it is. So I'm going to add a couple of these in here. Okay, I'm going to come back then right here. I'm going to double click this guy. It brings up the presets here. I'm going to go over it. I'm going to say I want this one to be chrome, replace. Okay, and I'm going to click this guy here. Let's say I want that preset to be copper. Okay, replace. And then I'm going to select this one here. And let's do presets glossy, plastic, because we're working with super soakers, right? And I'm going to hit replace, and then I'm going to come over here, double click color, and let's pick a color that's like a red, let's say, like this. Okay. I also wanted to show you one other thing today. I want to show you glow. Excuse me. I'm going to come over here too and pick a couple blends. Okay. So when I click the blends here, I'm going to double click the color option here. I'm going to pick a blend that's like an orange, let's say. Okay, and I'm going to close that down real quick. Hit done. All right, so this is how the Ipr works. If I hit Ipr right now, it brings up a window right here. The window is like a wireframe. Okay, what Ipr does is oops, didn't mean to do that. If I just select and drag over the area that I'm interested in, it's only going to render that area for me. So you see how I did that really quick? So the benefit of that is I don't have to wait for the computer to do one whole render. I could focus just on one area. But by having the Hypershade open like this, see, now I could come over here and go, hey, what would this look like if this was chrome? Well, I can come over here. I made chrome. I could drag the chrome and drop it right in here on this piece. And see, when I did that, it's now rendering. So I'm going to just redraw a window around that, and it's going to render just that part for me. Do you see that? So now I can see exactly what the chrome looks like. And if I don't like that chrome, I can go back and put something else. Let's say when I was working with Tito the other day, we were looking at this base piece here. He didn't have anything assigned. So I was like, hey, what would that look like with chrome and copper? That could be pretty cool down there. So now if I come over here and look at my materials, I can grab copper, just drag it and drop it. Okay, and then it's going to render it for me really quick. Just that little spot. See how fast it's doing it? So that's a really great way to work. Now, some of you at home that have older machines might have an issue with this, where you might not have enough RAM on your machine to basically do this task. But for the most part, it's there, it's done, it's an easy, fantastic way to work. Okay, so this way it just really expedites my workflow, where I can literally just drag and drop, and as I'm dragging and dropping, I'm looking at the changes that happen right in front of me. I don't have to render every time. I'm speeding things up really drastically. So I could drag a couple more. Let's try that again. Oops. What did I just drag on? Oops, let me hit Command Z. I think I dragged to the background there by accident. There we go. So I'm going to come over here, drag to that part. Let me see, I dragged it here. So what do you got? And drag and drop here. Okay. So now I can redraw my window. I just draw a new box over the area I want it to render, and the computer does it for me. All right, so IPR is a really fast, fantastic way to check your stuff while you're working really quickly. You can just start, look at it. I'm looking right at it, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. I really like that. Now I can go back and add some other elements. Okay? All right, so that's IPR render. I wanted to show you that really quick. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. So I also wanted to show you, because I had some students wanting, that were doing this. Uh-oh. What just happened? Hold on, the whole file crashed. Let me stop the recorder for a minute. Thanks, Maya. All right, resume. All right, guys, sorry about that. I brought Maya back up. So here's the other thing I wanted to show you. So I just showed you how to use the IPR render, right? So here's another little cool thing that I wanted just to show to you really quick. If there's a part of your rifle that you want to have a little glow on, or transparency, this is how you do that. Okay, so what I did, I created a blend right here. I'm going to take this blend right now, and I'm going to assign this to, let's say, right here. That's part of a targeting mechanism or whatever he has on his rifle, right? After I assign that, I have the attributes open. So if your attributes aren't open, click the surface shader that you're going to be using, hit Control A, and it brings up the attributes. Under the attributes, if I come down to Common Materials, I have transparency right here. So if I select that transparency and raise that up a little bit, you see what it's doing? It's showing me that that object's now transparent. So now if I come over here, if I were to click IPR, drag over that one little area, it's going to show me what that starts to look like in terms of the transparency. Okay. Now this is rendering what's going on right here that's bad. My IPR is huge right now, and it's eating up a lot of computer memory. You can see how it's see-through. It's huge because, well, my file crashed, but I want to go back here. I want to go to Common, and I'm going to scroll down here to HD 720. Remember, I'm going to drop that down to 420. Okay, oh, not that. I just increased it by a massive amount. There we go, 420. There, hit close. So now when I hit my IPR window, it comes up. It's a lot smaller. So now I can select that little area, and I put that object on transparency. So now I can look at the render and decide, hey, I want it to be more transparent than that. So look, I can raise it up a little bit more, and look, Maya's rendering it for me. And when it finishes, I can look at that and see now I have that see-through look. That's a really cool feature that you can do to some of your model, because you might have little parts that are going to be see-through. Some of you might have the water tank. It might have an outside. That might be a good idea if it's a little see-through, because then you can see where your water level is, right? Okay. You know what? That's one of the things that drive me nuts about people that make gas cans, is they make a gas can and they're so red you can't see where the gas level is at. It's sort of pointless, okay? But anyway, whole another discussion there. Okay, so that's doing, and if you look down here, you have these other effects too. You have some ambient color you can mess with. If you mess with that, it can make it really brighter, it could dull it down. There's all kinds of different settings in there that you can mess with. I really don't use too many of these. There's even a specular roll-off. You can control how the light is being bright or whatnot. Remember, it's transparent, okay? So depending on the shader that I use, remember Lambert's going to be flat and the blend's going to be shiny. so they could still be shiny or flat but transparent as well. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show to you, if I scroll down here a little bit more, let's come over here. I'm going to bring up IPR in a minute. Okay. Let's say right here, I'm going to look through that little guy, the scope, right? Hold on, let me change the color real quick because I just thought of a more accurate color. Let's go to red. So look, watch what I'm going to, okay, that didn't work. Let's try that again. Let's go to red. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to assign red and I'm going to drag it to the front. Uh-oh, right there. Now look, that was a good example. That's one piece of geometry. So let's say I wanted that whole thing to be chrome, like that. But now I want just the front faces to be red right there. I can do that. This is how I do that. I'm going to right click, go to face, and I'm going to painstakingly sort of come in here and have to select all these faces right here. This is the way that I like to do it, is I sort of like to drag and drop and try to get them all in one hit, and then I go around like this, and I get all the faces in that I want to be selected. See how I did that? Then I turn to the side, because I know I selected other areas, and then I'm going to hold Control and I drag over all the other areas right there, and those are deselected. So now I have just the face selected on that object. I can come over the red, right click, and say assign to selection. Okay, so now if I look in shaded mode, I have it chrome, but then I have that red on there, which that's something you could do in case you have one piece of geometry. You can assign just a material selection only to a face. Okay, now that I have that done, watch what happens when I hit IPR real quick. Let's render it. Brings that up. Let's drag over that. I should have chrome with a red face now. It's having to figure out that chrome and the light conditions and everything that's on it. It might be reflective. It might be reflecting too much, actually. Actually, that might sort of break down part of the shading system in here. But look, it did it. I don't like the way that looks real quick, so let me just, I'm going to put a blue on there instead. But here's what sucks is when I put that blue on there, I lose the red face. Okay, so look, what I wanted to show you is how to make a glow. So give me a minute here. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to go to the faces again. Face. I want to assign red just to that face. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Face mode. And drag over all those faces right there. They're all pretty much selected. I'm going to select the ones here that were not selected. There, I can see that they're all selected, right? And then if I turn to this mode here, and I look at a see-through mode, I'm going to hold Control, drag over all those. That's done. Right-click, assign to selection. There we go. Okay, so now if I look, oh man, hold on. I have one that I missed there. Do you see that? So I'm going to go back to face mode, select just that face, right-click, assign to selection. There we go. Okay. So what I wanted to show you now, look at what happens if I render this really quick. Looking at it, I'm going to have that red in there, and I'm going to have sort of that glossy blue on the top. I want to make that red glow a little bit. Ooh, I'm going to make it glow like it's a scope or some type of awesome optic, right? So look, it's rendering it out. Okay, so this is how I do that. I'm going to hit escape on my render. That red here that was the Lambert, if I come over here and I click on it and I scroll down under the attributes for that, click open special effects, glow intensity. See that? So now if I raise this up a little bit, and I'm going to come back to the IPR again to see what it looks like. Drag over the top here. Okay, not much. Now what if I jump it up quite a bit? Aha, magic. You see what's happening? Having a glow effect that's coming out on it. See that? That's the glow effect now. Because I went down there and I told it to glow under the intensity. If that's too bright for me, you have to sort of look at the whole gun and decide, because I'm zoomed up right now, right? So maybe I pull back like this and decide by looking at it, hey, is that what I really want? And so now you come back here, and this is where you might do a render then. But again, I'm still working at 420. If you're rendering at 720, sometimes it can be too big. So what it's going to do is Maya's going to get in there real quick. It's going to render it out. And be patient. They always put the glow in at the very end. They don't do it first. I know you want it first, but they render the rest of the gun. And then the last pass is usually the specular and the effects and the glows and all that. So you can actually watch Maya. You can see sometimes the little boxes going across or see it moving, and you can watch it render. This is where some of you at home will be like, it's not working. It's working. Your computer's just slow. There it is. Look at that. That glows pretty bright. Okay, I don't want it to glow that much. So what I can do is I can come back down here and I can drop that down a little bit. Okay, and I can go back to IPR and just drag over that little area and see what it looks like now. So the IPR is great. The IPR is your friend. It will help you quite a bit. See? And now I could actually adjust it. I could be like, hey, that's pretty cool, maybe a little bit lower. IPR does it all for you. So that means you can add some cool little parts to your rifle. You might have, like where the water is, there might be an on button. Aha. And you can have the on button glow. Because maybe, so that might be part of your pitch. I was talking about this. I'm trying to teach guys to be designers, but you also have to become sort of pitchmen. For what if you had, what if there's a button on your gun, you're on your Super Soaker, and you press that button, and then that enables sound effects. Oh yeah. So then when they go to shoot, it's like all, that's all like realistic. Kids love that type of stuff. They love anything. Are you kidding me? I was on last night playing Titanfall. There's like 4 kids on, and their mics are on, and I could hear, it's time for bed, honey. And they're like, 8-year-olds playing Titanfall and Call of Duty. I'm like, oh my God, there's 8-year-olds playing Call of Duty, right? And they're actually really good too sometimes. So, but what I'm getting at is that they love little technology like that. So you're designing for Hasbro, and your goal, your product has to be interesting to the consumer, and your consumer is that 6 to 12-year-old boy that's going to be running around and playing with either a Super Soaker or an N-Strike version. What's going to make it appealing to him? An awesome scope that turns on and off that has red light is going to be really cool. I was telling another student, you might have a new design principle where you make a separate scope that's sold separately that has night vision in it. They would do that because kids would buy it. Are you kidding me? Kids love that type of stuff. It might be like $45, but they could probably put something together in China for that. Little night vision set that mounts on the top, and the kids are running around shooting their buddies with night vision. They'd love that. Or you have a little laser pointer on it. Don't shoot in your eye, right? Yeah. Okay, so anyway, that's pretty much our discussion. This is just a real quick demo here. I just wanted to show you using the IPR. Okay, so the IPR is not going to give you a finished render. I mean, it's just going to render what's on the scene for you, but you can't save that. Well, you could save it if you wanted to, just to compare differences. But what you really want to do when you finish up and get your render the way that you like it is just hit Escape ESC on your keyboard, go back, hit the main render. And again, I wouldn't render it out at this size now, would I? No, we want to do our final render at HD 1080, so it's a nice render that we can then take that image and we can put that image inside our layout page, right? Right. This is one of the fun things about rendering. This is why Box Tech, who's one of my favorite companies for PCs out of Texas, they make machines that have a machine that has 64 processors in it. It's really expensive. It's like $60,000. But that's what you use for special effects companies when you have dynamics and all types of special effects, glow intensities, stuff breaking apart. I mean, that's the type of stuff that you can do with Maya. You can get into that level of design. Okay, so that's pretty cool right there. Okay, all right, guys, take care, and don't forget to save your files. See you.